for the battered but proud people of the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and you're listening to Radio Free New York. It is looking just beautiful outside today. I'm very, very excited for the weather, and hopefully you guys are too. And I want to give a shout out to a couple people who are already on the live stream. I mean, you guys are just on it, waiting for the show to go. So Barbara, Dan, my wife Yolanda, guys, thank you so much for joining me here. You guys were in the live stream before I even turned the camera on. So you guys are on point and on the ball. And of course, welcome to all of our radio listeners as well on the WYSL station. I am broadcasting from home because Bob is out on vacation today. And it just kind of made sense with my schedule to do that. So happy to join you guys here. But as always, you can call into the show. That number is 585-346-3000. Once again, that's 585-346-3000. If you're outside the local area, the number is 866-552-1009. And I just want to encourage everybody real quick to, if you haven't already, jump over to my YouTube channel, because all of the podcasts from the show, the video podcast, the audio, everything, I make sure is live on the YouTube channel. So if you just go to youtube.com and you search Andrew C. Hollister, go there, click on the channel, click subscribe. What's happening is the more subscribers I get on YouTube, the more YouTube is actually pushing this content out to people who might just be looking for something to listen to. So if you like the idea of the show and you think more people should hear about this, head over to YouTube, search Andrew C. Hollister, click subscribe. I'm trying to get us up to 1,000 subscribers. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we actually get some new features unlocked in YouTube that help us reach more people. And that's really what this is all about. Talking about issues, talking about, the perspective from the right, talking about the perspective from the left, talking about all the perspectives, and kind of talking about thinking of things a little bit differently, taking a totally different perspective on some of the issues we have. So along those lines, I want to send a huge thank you to Dennis and Debbie Koch from Aircraft Environmental, who have decided they're going to help support the show, help keep us on the air. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your support. So if you guys have the opportunity to support them, I'd appreciate it, because they're supporting Radio Free New York. And today, if you're trying to think of a way you can support Radio Free New York, please head over to our website, click the support link, make a donation, buy a t-shirt, something like that. That helps us keep the show on the air. All right, so enough of the promo stuff. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of what the show is going to be today. I did not plan at all on talking about immigration issues. We talked a lot about immigration last show. In fact, it took up, I think, like the whole entire show. And I really wanted to talk about some of the things in New York that were banned that the Supreme Court has ruled as unconstitutional. And it's kind of interesting because these laws are still on the books, but they've been ruled as unconstitutional. I wanted to go through some of that stuff, but some stuff happened today. And so we're going to have to just talk about immigration just a little bit longer. If you guys were listening to the radio station before the show came on, they actually did a brief news segment on what I wanted to talk about today. But first, I'm going to recap. I'm going to recap what we talked about last show, because it kind of goes together a little bit, and I'd like to just give you guys a recap. Then you can, of course, go to YouTube, You can dial back, listen to the rest of last show. But essentially, what we talked about last show, we talked a lot about immigration. We talked about shutting down the Mexican border and what impact that would have on our nation, on our trade, on our own citizens, that whole thing. And I'm not going to recover that, so you guys can go back and listen to that piece. But then we talked about the wall and the proposal of the wall, and same thing. I'm not going to go through all that again because there's just not enough time. But I'd love for you guys to listen to it, because it's important to know that shutting down the border and building the wall are actually two totally separate proposals. Two separate proposals. A lot of people think they're one and the same. They are two very different proposals. So that's the very first piece. The last bit that we touched on in the last show was we were talking about if shutting down the border isn't the right answer, and if building the wall isn't the right answer, what is the right answer? What could we do in our country to resolve our immigration issue? And not just the immigration issue, but the sex trafficking issue, the drug trafficking issue, the issue of moving people across the border to sell them, the issue of people dying trying to cross the border just looking for a new life. There's so many issues there. It's not as simple as just an immigration issue. So what we covered in the end of last show is just talking about the idea that we could do something different. We could have two Ellis Islands on our southern border, 2 points of legal immigration that people who wanted to come to this country could follow a legal path to get into this country. A place where you could go for health screening, for a criminal background check, to assess your skills and make sure that you're going to have a job when you come into our country. But not just that. The idea that when you do come into the country legally, there's a policy in place that says you can't accept welfare, you can't accept government assistance, but when you're working, you will pay taxes. So these people come into our country, they essentially pay us to be able to work here, but they're legal, so they don't have to worry about papers. They don't have to worry about being deported. As long as they're following all the rules, doing the right things, not trying to get on public assistance and all of that, good. They get a visa. They come here. They can have access to that better life that they're looking for, but still pay taxes. Very much unlike what we have today, where we have people who are working under the table because they have no ability to get papers. That in turn is taking away from the tax system because they're not paying income tax, they're not paying any tax really. Then on top of that, the employer is not paying a payroll tax, so really the system's being underfunded in many different ways. And I'm not for funding the system. Those who listen to the show know my stance on a lot of these things, but I'm just talking in general the way society works today. There's no income tax being paid, there's no payroll tax being paid, so it's essentially taking that money out of the system. But not just that, when there's a crime issue, these people are afraid of being deported. So when the police need help, nobody talks to the police. Even if they're a good person, they follow all the rules, they just came here illegally, they won't participate and interact with the police to help them find an actual criminal, an actual bad person, because they themselves are worried about being deported. And then sometimes these people get on public assistance, and so now they are collecting welfare and they're collecting maybe unemployment, but they never actually paid into the system to begin with. So that's what we have today. That's why we have crime issues, because people aren't going to call the police. They let the crime happen, and they won't participate and help the police because they don't want to be deported. We can change all of that. The other thing is, people who are crossing the border today, in general, you don't actually know who's a good person, who's a bad person, who is just looking for a job and a better life versus somebody who's truly a bad person. If you set up 2 Ellis Islands on our southern border, you already know the people trying to cross the border illegally, they're all just bad people, because there's now a set, clear path that's easy to follow that's through an Ellis Island. So if you're just looking for something better for your family, better for your kids, you're looking for a job, maybe you're just moving, You go through the Ellis Island. If you're a bad person, you're trying to do trafficking, move across illegal substances, a terrorist, anything else like that, you're going to actually try to still cross illegally. And that's where maybe a wall might have a place. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But one thing's for sure, if we move to that model, Border Patrol can actually focus on bad people, keeping bad people out. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be focused on keeping people out or in. What I'm saying is right now, by not having something set up like that, we're really putting everybody in a situation where there's just so many people coming in, people seeking asylum, people crossing illegally, people trying to find jobs, all this stuff. If we just make an easy, clean path in, and we're keeping track of these people and they're paying taxes and they can't go on public assistance, I think that's just a much better policy than what we have today. And I would love to hear your guys' feedback. I'd love for you guys to call into the show, all of that, because I want it to be better. This is just one idea. There are, I'm sure, many out there that would be much better than what we have today. So we're going to take a break here in a second. Before we do, I'm going to tell you what we're going to talk about in the next part of the show, which is we're going to talk about this idea of the Trump administration saying that they want to release the immigrants that they've detained into sanctuary cities. So this is what we're going to talk about when we come back from the break. We're going to talk about releasing immigrants into sanctuary cities, what I think about that, do I think it's going to be effective, and if you agree with us or not. We'll touch on everything. So we'll be back here in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Everyone is talking about residual income as a retirement plan. Do you have a residual income plan in place? If not, come to our free seminar on April 25th in Rochester to learn about local residual income opportunities. Go to startrochester.com to sign up for our free seminar. No experience is necessary. Go to startrochester.com and sign up for our free no-obligation seminar. Space is limited to the first 40 people, so sign up now before it fills up. startrochester.com.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Radio Free New York on WYSL. AM 1040, FM 92.1, and FM 95.5 West.
All right. right, guys, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. I am here enjoying the wonderful weather that we have here in Rochester. The sun's out, it's heating up nicely. Very, very excited about it. And I'm actually really excited because in a couple weeks, I'm going to be hopefully getting my motorcycle license. So I'm going to go to the MCC Riders course and go through that two-day course and hopefully get my motorcycle license. I haven't ridden about 2, maybe 3 years now. So I'm seeing the nice weather out here, getting excited, thinking about getting on the bike, riding around, and want to know from the bike riders out there who listen to the show, what type of bike do you like to ride? I'm obviously really new to it. I've got a starter bike, but I'd be really interested in knowing from you guys what style of bike you guys prefer. What do you feel is safest? What do you feel is most fun? What manufacturers you guys prefer? And maybe there's a specific shop or like sales place that you guys prefer too, that you guys can basically hook me up with. Let me know who the go-to people are, because I'm very excited to get moving on that. So we're talking about immigration here, and I'm actually looking through the comments, always trying to make sure I'm responding to your comments here. A whole bunch more people jumped into the live stream, so welcome Mike and Eric and Steven and Carrie and Ross. And it looks like some people have joined in on Twitter as well. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. Eric actually sent in a comment, and his comment is, how do you feel / have you seen that Dems voted down a bill for Gold Star military families to get more free tuition, but they voted for illegals to get more tuition in New York State? So I'll definitely touch on this, because I think that this is something that I saw this morning. I didn't get a chance to read it. I was trying to find the bill. So I saw the headline. It was, let me see. I wonder if I have it here. Yeah, I've got the headline right here. NY Dems block bill expanding college tuition for Gold Star families after approving $27 million in tuition aid for illegal immigrants. Unfortunately, that's about all the information that's there. I don't actually see the bill. I'm not sure of all the details. But to be honest, that sounds awful. That sounds absolutely awful. And I'll tell you how I feel about this either way. This won't be a surprise to most of you, but some of you might be a little upset about it. And here's how I feel about it. I don't feel it's the government's place, job, or anything like that to be providing free tuition to anybody. I just don't think we should be doing it. So the idea that we're providing free tuition to people who have crossed the border illegally, yeah, I'm totally opposed to that. The idea that we would provide free tuition to anybody, I'm opposed to that. Now, Gold Star families, those families, for those who don't know what a Gold Star family is, I want to make sure I get this right. I believe a Gold Star family is a family whose child died in service. I'm just going to actually, normally if Bob was here, he'd be on his phone and confirming this for me. So I'm just going to look real quick. What is a Gold Star family member? Is a modern reference that comes from service flag. The flag included a blue star for every immediate family member serving in the armed forces. Nope, that is not it. I believe what it is a Gold Star family is somebody whose child has passed in service of the military. Eric, if you're listening, you can probably comment in, and yep, Eric actually did. So thank you very much. It's family whose service member died. So like a soldier's child. So what I say about this is, I think that those people should absolutely be taken care of, 110%. I don't know if it's the government's place to do that, unless this is a part of their contract when you enlist. If you enlist and your contract says that if you pass away, then we're going to provide like maybe your GI Bill to your children or something like that. If that's a part of your service contract, that's like a condition of your employment. To me, that is an agreement between your employer and you as the employee. What I don't like is the idea that government starts picking what I would call winners and losers and says, we decide as government that we're going to take tax money from these people and give it to these other people for any type of special reason. And Gold Star families, if you were to take a list of reasons, Gold Star families, that's actually a pretty good reason, but I'm still against government picking winners and losers. I'm still against the idea that we would choose one group and give them money and not choose other groups. I don't think that that was ever the intent of government. I don't think when George Washington and the other founding fathers put our country together and our Constitution together, that they were thinking that our state government was going to tax people and then take a portion of that money and give it to other people for education or other things. I just don't feel that was the intent of our government. I feel government should be small. It should be limited. It should be about protecting our country, and it should be about protecting people's individual liberties. And that's about it. That's about as far as I see the extent of what our government should be doing. So in general, and I know this is a really long response to a very short question, I think it's wrong for government to pay for education like that. I don't think that government should be picking winners and losers. So yeah, I'm opposed to illegal immigrants getting the funding. I also don't think we should be funding the Gold Star families unless it's a part of their contract that was already negotiated. If it's a part of your employment contract, I have no issues with it. If it's just somebody thought that they were going to create a warm and fuzzy program and take money from some taxpayer and give it to another, that's why I have a problem for. Even though the cause is a really good cause, I just don't believe that that's what government's purpose is. So hopefully you guys aren't too upset with me about that. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. That's just my personal feelings about what government should and shouldn't be doing. Then there's one other comment in here I'll take real quick, and that's from Ross. And Ross says, oh, Ross, I just lost your comment. Here it is. A wall funnels people where you make them cross, just like everyone that lives in a walled home or a gated village with guards. Ross, I totally get that. That's why I always try to specify the difference between closing a border entirely versus the wall proposal. That is certainly, they are very different proposals. But the other thing I want to bring up, that's the Berlin Wall. So 2 years ago, I actually went to Berlin. I spent a couple days there, and I really immersed myself in the history of the Berlin Wall. And I'll tell you what a lot of the history of the Berlin Wall was. And this thing is huge, and it's grueling. It's giant. This huge, I think it was 9 feet tall, maybe taller, giant concrete wall, and then a sand pit full of mines, and then machine gun turrets and tanks. So the Berlin Wall was just this huge, massive wall. And I'll tell you what, story after story after story, all throughout Berlin, was about people who crossed that wall, about how people got through that wall. Now, I'm not saying walls aren't effective. That's not what I'm saying. Because certainly the wall kept a lot of people in and kept a lot of people out. And it was very dangerous. People lost their lives trying to cross that wall. So I guess what I'm saying when I cover all that is the idea or the point I'm trying to drive home is, if we create a path that's easy enough for good people to take, good people will take it. The bad, evil people are going to break the law regardless. And if they're funded well enough, or they're daring enough, or they're extreme enough, they will find a way through the wall. It might slow them down a little bit. It might cost them a little bit more. They'll find a way, or they'll just fly over it. I mean, for us to think that, drugs only come through this country, across the Mexican border by crossing land and not using a plane, I think is very naive. So there to me is a lot more to it. I certainly respect the ability of a wall to keep people out. But when I went to Berlin and saw how massive this wall was, how dangerous it was to cross, and see people still made it through, I know the same thing's going to happen here. So that's just the point I want to make and bring up there. Now, of course, as I'm looking here through the comments, I see I see Eric Smith. He actually just jumped in again, saying he's going to look more into it. And see if maybe the spouse of the kids gets access to the GI Bill. And that's something that I think would possibly be okay. You know, if you pass away, maybe the GI Bill is transferable to your children as long as they're, you know, around 18 years old or something like that. I wouldn't say make it transferable if they're like 40 or 50. But once again, having a benefit, a part of your contract, that I'm okay with. Picking winners and losers in government, that I'm just not okay with. So we're approaching our break again, guys. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about my thoughts, my opinions on the sanctuary city proposal, and I'll give you guys just a heads up. I'm pretty sure this proposal was already shot down. It's not going to happen, or maybe an updated, newer version might come out. It's my understanding nobody was meant to really see or know about this proposal anyways. So we're going to talk about that when we come back from this next break here on Radio Free New York.
You're listening to the voice of liberty.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
Everyone is talking about residual income as a retirement plan. Do you have a residual income plan in place? If not, come to our free seminar on April 25th in Rochester to learn about local residual income opportunities. Go to startrochester.com to sign up for our free seminar. No experience is necessary. Go to startrochester.com and sign up for our free, no obligation seminar. Space is limited to the first 40 people, so sign up now before it fills up. startrochester.com.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York on the WYSL stations.
right, guys, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, broadcasting from home today. And as always, taking your calls at 585-346-3000. Once again, that's 585-346-3000. And taking your questions and comments on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Feel free to comment in with questions, comments, things you guys want to hear about. I love talking about the things you guys want to talk about. And if I don't know about it, I will just tell you that I don't know, and then try to prepare for it and talk about it in another show. So what we're talking about, we've been talking about immigration, not trying to beat a dead horse at all with this, but what came out today in the New York Times is where I saw it, but I think it's probably all over the place, is this idea that the Trump administration and the advisors in the Trump administration advised that we take all the detainees that ICE has captured and basically release them into cities that have taken on sanctuary city status. So for me, I personally found this a little entertaining. And I almost think that you could find bipartisan support for this. You won't, but from the logic and the way I'm looking at it, you probably could. So here's what I think, and you guys please call and comment in about this. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So say you are a person that believes that sanctuary cities are the way to go. You prefer them, you want them. If it came up for a vote to you, you would vote yes, I want a sanctuary city. In that case, you should see this policy and be like, yes, release the detainees, bring them to my city. This is what I want. If that's truly what you believe, if that's truly how you feel. Now, on the flip side, say you're opposed to sanctuary cities. You think that they're wrong. You think they don't work. You think it violates federal law. Maybe it violates our Constitution. You have this belief, and you're like, no sanctuary cities. We shouldn't have them at all. You should also be for this policy. And the reason is, if you believe they don't work, then yeah, you want ICE to take these people who have been detained and put them in sanctuary cities to prove that they don't work. So I look at this policy and I think this should totally have bipartisan support. Now, of course, there's other factors to think about here. There's a lot of different things to think. But I think just from those two perspectives, you would think that the people for sanctuary cities, if they truly believe we should be welcoming everybody in and sheltering them and taking care of them, they'd say, yes, give them to us. And if you would think that people that are opposed to them and think they wouldn't work would say, yes, please leave them there. We'll show that it doesn't work. So I kind of like it. I don't know what you guys think, but that's certainly how I feel about it when I read it. I'm sure there's more to it. I didn't see a whole lot. It was kind of a vague article. It's interesting. You can actually tell that media companies are really just trying to drive fear and division more than they care about facts. And we've known this for a long time, but they're just becoming less and less. They're hiding it less because they're providing articles that don't even cite their sources anymore. They have very little information. I'm seeing a lot of articles being shared around now where the headline is all the information is. When you go to read the article, it just basically repeats the headline with one or two other sentences, and then there's just a whole plethora of ads to drive ad revenue, and there's really no content to it. So the New York Times ran this story, and there really wasn't a whole lot here. I mean, there was stuff basically saying that, Homeland Security suggested against this. They're not moving forward on the policy, but there wasn't a whole lot of meat and potatoes to like how long this has been considered. Was it being seriously considered? Are they thinking about changing the policy and maybe still moving forward with it? Would it be proposed as a bill? None of that was really explained in the article. But I look at this, and it reminds me of a policy that Larry Sharp and I ran on for governor and lieutenant governor of New York State last year. And this was the idea that New York State should not, as state government, in any way whatsoever, engage in determining sanctuary status. That the state should actually eliminate most of its power as state government and give the power back to the local counties, towns, and villages, because our state is just too big. Our state government is enormous. Our budget is almost $186 billion, which is double other states that have more population than us. So our state government is just way too large. And our platform was, let's make state government smaller. Let's actually give power back to the local municipalities. So when it came up to sanctuary city status, we would often say, well, state government shouldn't have the authority or the power to declare for or against it. And this actually, before I talk about why and what our position was, I want to explain what sanctuary city status actually is, because there's a lot of media out there, there's a lot of rhetoric out there, and it's really just a virtual signal thing. So what sanctuary city status typically only means is that you will not dedicate budget money in your budget, your local budget, to assist and help with ICE. It doesn't actually make it so ICE can not come in and not do their job. It just means you won't allocate budget money to assist them. Now, here's the thing. ICE is a federal agency and federally funded. So you as a state, you as a town, you as a municipality really don't have any say in what they do. You don't have any say in how they use their budget, what resources they provide and move around. It's all federal. You pay for this with your income tax, your federal income tax. So the idea that a town or a county can say they are a sanctuary city or a sanctuary county, the only recourse they really have is to say that they won't put extra funds in their police force budget to help and assist ICE with their investigations. So that's the first thing I want to clarify for a lot of people. They don't understand what sanctuary city statuses are. They assume it's like like somehow a haven has been created for illegal immigrants. And of course, Democrats love that because that's what gets their voters out. They love to virtue signal and say, yeah, we're sanctuary city status, we're doing something, when really it means they're doing nothing at all. But it sounds good to them. It rallies their base. And on the other side, Republicans love it too. And the reason Republicans love it is it gives a rallying cry for their base where they can go, look, they're making it sanctuary city. They're making a sanctuary county. Quick, we have to stop this. When in reality, in New York State, under the actual definition and understanding of what sanctuary town, city, county is, very, very few counties in New York State have any budget money at all that they can even dedicate to federal agencies like ICE to assist, because our unfunded mandates are just so high that they can't afford it. They just don't have the budget money. So by definition, most counties are already sanctuary status. They just haven't written a formal resolution and passed it through their board or through their legislature. So I just want to clarify that for people, because a lot of people are fighting over this and they don't understand that it's literally just allocation of budget dollars that really you shouldn't be allocating anyways, because they're already federally funded. And people are like arguing over this, and it's just virtual signaling. Like, we're a sanctuary city, we're just, not spending money that we weren't supposed to spend anyways. I mean, that's literally all it is. So I want to get that out of the way for you guys, because the idea of sanctuary cities, it's not as hot topic right now, but it was a really, really hot topic. People would get really aggressive over it, really emotional over it, and it was really just the left and the right playing on words against each other to rally their base, which, to be honest, has been effective. So they know what they're doing, and they're doing it well. But I know that you guys who listen to the show, you come here expecting education, so you can kind of be better educated than the average person. So that's why I tried to bring this sort of stuff up for you guys. So what was the proposal? What did Larry and I talk about last year as how to handle sanctuary cities, how to handle sanctuary status? Well, I kind of led into it. We said that state government should have no say over this. State government shouldn't be so big and so powerful that it can tell a county what to do or what not to do. Where I live in Monroe County, unfunded mandates that come from state government make up more than 85% of our local budget. So 85 cents on every dollar collected in my county goes to unfunded mandates decided by state government that my county has no say in. I have no say in. The only way to have say in it would be for us to eliminate a lot of state positions, to essentially switch over the governorship, to switch over people in the Senate and the Assembly, which can be difficult, especially in New York State, where things are so entrenched. And I see Barbara just commented in. She's absolutely right. Home rule. Home rule is the right solution. And that's what Larry and I were talking about. Talking about the idea that, you know what? If you in your town, and the majority of the people in your town believe that sanctuary status is right for you, which once again really just means you're not dedicating additional funds to fund a federal agency that's already funded with federal money, great. Spend your money that way, or don't spend your money that way. That's up to you. It's your tax dollars. Why would state government have any say in that whatsoever? It shouldn't. So what would this look like? This would look like some cities and towns saying, we're going to take on sanctuary status. Immigrants come to us. New York City, great example. Where I live right now in Rochester, unfortunately, great example. So here's the thing. That would happen, but then other counties, other towns, other cities surrounding could say, no, we're not going to be a sanctuary city. We're not going to be a sanctuary county. We are going to assist ICE. We are going to maybe set aside additional budget money for them. And what would happen is immigrants would know, and we're talking about illegal immigrants here. We're not talking about people who have come here with a green card, people who have come here on a work visa. We're talking about people who are here flying under the radar, running away from the law. Those people would go to the areas that's safe for them, go to the areas that are welcoming them. They would leave your town, leave your city, leave your area, and go elsewhere. And so I see this policy, and I see some parallels here. And something that Larry and I talked about often was, if sanctuary cities don't work, if sanctuary towns don't work, they'll find out pretty quickly, and they'll have a decision to make. They will have to make the decision as to whether or not they stay that way. And if people are there on welfare and milking public assistance, they have one of two choices. They have the choice to increase taxes yet again to fill these services, whereas more people will leave, or they have the choice to make, okay, we're going to change this policy. It's not a good policy. So that's really my piece on that. The idea that you could do it if you want to under home rule, and if you don't believe it works, you should be okay with that, because you're going to watch them fail and they're going to learn from it. If you do believe it works, you should still be okay with it, because you think that you're going to be successful. And in the end, somebody will be right and somebody will be wrong. I don't think it's the state's government's job to determine who's going to be right and wrong. I think it's a local issue, and I think local people should have a say. So guys, we're going to take a real quick break here on Radio Free New York, and I will be back in a moment.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Everyone is talking about residual income as a retirement plan. Do you have a residual income plan in place? If not, come to our free seminar on April 25th in Rochester to learn about local residual income opportunities. Go to startrochester.com to sign up for our free seminar. No experience is necessary. Go to startrochester.com and sign up for our free, no obligation seminar. Space is limited to the first 40 people, so sign up now before it fills up. Startrochester.com.
Radio Free New York on WYSL, AM 1040, FM 92.1, and FM 95.5 West.
Hey guys, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. You know, I want to give just a real quick shout out to a man behind the curtain, Bob D'Angelo. He's the one that runs the breaks for me and mixes the music and does all this stuff. So we're communicating via text message right now, just making sure the show is running smoothly. So just a big thank you to you, Bob. You do a lot, and you're definitely appreciated. So if you guys ever wonder how the ads come in and out so smoothly and they fade nice, that's Bob in the background at the WYSL studio. So I've got some comments here on Facebook. I'm reading through them, and there's actually a really good issue here that at least one person has brought up in the comments. His name is Jason, and he brings up that sanctuary cities are just a scam to inflate population numbers for the 2020 census in Democrat districts. It's election fraud. So I really want to address this because this actually could be a huge problem, because you're absolutely right. Representation is actually created because off of the census. Now, there's a few things to this, and I would say that could actually be their strategy. I don't know if that's true or not, but it might be true. That might be totally true. And if that is their strategy, to be honest, that's not a bad strategy. I'll give them credit where credit's due. Just like the SAFE Act was amazing marketing. I totally hate the law, terrible law, unconstitutional, but they marketed it so well that people don't know that it's a bad law. If this is the strategy behind sanctuary cities and the strategy behind illegal immigration, it's a good strategy. I'm not going to lie. The thing is, the taxes are so high in New York, so terrible we're so bad with our regulation. We stomp out small businesses. We drive families out of the state. A lot of our education districts are doing terrible. We rank below average nationally in almost every single metric you can measure in education. The only place we do better than the national average in education is in college. Our colleges rank higher, but in every other aspect for reading, writing, math, on average, we rank below the national average. So here's what's happening. If we look at just population numbers, in the last 10 years, New York State's actually lost a net million people. So even with all the immigrants that are flooding in, a lot of people talk about, they're bringing in as many immigrants as they can to raise these numbers. That might be what they're doing. I don't know. I don't have proof of that or proof against that either way. But what I do know is we're still at a loss of 1 million people. So it's not working for them. It is absolutely a very serious concern. But if that is their plan, they're not executing very well. Although it is a good plan in theory, we've lost 1 million in population. We've actually lost many representatives. Bob Savage, if he was here, he actually knows the number off the top of his head. Because during one of the shows, he was actually talking about that our representation has actually gone down as a state because of how much our population loss has impacted that. And then you look at places like Florida, where a lot of people are leaving New York and moving to Florida, and their population now exceeds ours. So they're actually getting more representation than we are. So Jason, I agree 100%. It's a concern. It's a very dangerous thing. It's not working. That's not to say it won't work later, because who knows? The tables could always change. I don't know enough about the census to know how they track the information that comes into the census. Do they separate out only citizens? How they would even know if you're a citizen or not? It'll be interesting, because next year I'll be filling one out, so I guess I'll know at that point. To be honest, I don't think in 2010, I don't recall if I received a census document or not, or if I filled it out. If it came to me, I probably did, but I don't recall. So I'll be keeping an eye out for that, and I'll try to look up the process a little bit more and see how they calculate out those numbers. Maybe we'll talk about it on Monday's show. But like I said, very good point. It's just not working for them. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to transition away from immigration, transition to some unconstitutional bans that have happened in New York State. We've talked about at least one in the past. This is actually where I was hoping to go with Monday's radio show, but there's just so much and so much good information. So I love sharing it with you guys. So the latest ban, actually this isn't the latest, this one's about a week or two old now, is the New York State gravity knife ban has been ruled as unconstitutional. Part of the reason is they actually were saying that prosecutors were using this ban to selectively prosecute specific people. The law was kind of unclear, hard to prove. There was too much discretion involved. These knives are widely available. And here's the thing. I'm going to throw up for you guys on the screen here a picture of a knife that somebody was prosecuted on under this gravity knife ban. So for those of you who can't see the image, who are listening on the radio, this is a picture of a utility knife that I personally have bought one of these. It is near impossible to open, gravity or no gravity. There's a very heavy spring in this knife, and it's pretty hard to open. Yet somebody carrying this knife actually ended up being prosecuted, and I think he's actually the one that sued the state over the ban. So here's kind of what the ruling was. It was: the court recognizes that the district attorney must have discretion to prosecute or not to prosecute criminal matters. The combination here, however, of a statute that does not specify how Caraco can identify a gravity knife and a practice of prosecuting possession of gravity knives in an unclear and inconsistent manner provides police and prosecutors virtually unlimited or unfettered discretion to enforce the gravity knife statute. Under such circumstances, and with the lens of, I think this is Caraco's past prosecution and intended future conduct, the gravity knife statute is unconstitutionally vague. So what we have here is we have a situation where the law is just too vague. It's being applied in too many places, and it's kind of a catch-all. You have a pocket knife, that could be a gravity knife. So what the judge ruled is that this is unconstitutional. There have been multiple settlements already, so the state should have known. They should have known that this was a bad law, bad idea, bad choice. They continue to ban it. We saw recently stun guns in New York State have also been set as an unconstitutional ban. So what we'll probably do, maybe in Monday's show, we'll talk a little bit about what does this mean? Once something is banned in the state, but then ruled as the ban is unconstitutional, what does that mean for the state? Does that mean we can now carry these things? Can we now purchase them? Can you buy them online? if you get arrested when you have one, what are your options? So that's really what we're going to talk about on Monday's show. And maybe we can even compare and contrast this a little bit to the Judge Estacio case that I'm sure many of you are familiar with about, and probably, my guess is, unhappy about. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me here on Radio Free New York. I always love hearing your feedback, so please send in a comment, send me an email, let me know what you want to hear me talk about, and I will be back Monday at 1 p.m., and we'll talk about more of this stuff. All right? Have a great day, guys.
This is an exclusive offer from Patrick Buick.
All right, very good.